What is going on, everybody? Welcome to my Madden 21 Next Gen graphics comparison live stream. Appreciate everyone very much for being on here. It's your boy Uche Nwaneri, and we are expecting Ryan Moody. What the heck is this on my face? We're expecting Ryan Moody, 21, to be in here at some point. Talk to him. Said he'd come in around 9, so I told him we'd start by 9:30. So make sure that when he gets here, you guys give him shit or tweet him out on Twitter and ask him what the heck he is doing. He needs to be up here now on this live stream. We're going to get into this thing real quick. I want to start off with a little bit of perspective on this entire Madden situation. As most of us all know here, it's kind of been a rough shot for the game. It looks, not much better than what we've seen coming out of EA. Haven't seen much in the way of gameplay improvements outside of next-gen stats overlays and I guess an RFID system, or RFID tag system they're using now to try and allow for better, more realistic movement from the players. But at the end of the day, does that really give us what we're looking for as a Madden community in finding a better, more sim-like environment to play this game in? We're just playing a game that has too many cracks in its armor that doesn't really allow for the immersion that one would expect, especially when you watch games on Sunday in the NFL. You can see the immersion that's already there. You can see the kind of presentation that a true NFL experience provides for the viewer, for the audience. And that's just not what we're seeing from Madden. And with that, I want to look at this article here from Forbes, which really does kind of get into the meat and bones of the situation. This article is from contributor Brian Marzik. It says Madden 21 on next gen impressions, the good, the underwhelming, and the bottom line. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the Observer Lineman Uche Nwaneri if you haven't already done so. Appreciate you guys for jumping in here real quick. Before we get started, let me read this quick super chat from member Butterbiscuit92. He says, you need to be on the gaming stream more on Saturday. And he is alluding to the gaming stream that we do with Geeks and Gamers, where we talk about the biggest stories out of the gaming community, out of the gaming industry. We actually did that this early afternoon around 1 p.m. I was on there as a guest with Geeks and Gamers, different members of the team. But I appreciate that $2 super chat from Butterbiscuit92. But let's get into this article real quick. It says here, let me make sure everybody can see that just fine. Let me zoom in a little bit. Zoom. All right. I think that's good. All right, let's go into this. And then we'll get into some graphics comparison videos so you guys can take a look and we can really break down just the ins and the outs of the graphic side and the gameplay side, because there's plenty of gameplay comparison videos that I've been looking at on YouTube. And we're going to continue to go through those while we wait on Ryan Moody. Make sure you guys shoot a tweet out to him on Twitter. He's shut down safety on Twitter. Make sure you guys hit him up. Tell him to get his ass in here. Anyways, next. Here we go. It says, the next-gen version of Madden 21 released today early for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Fans who already own the game on current-gen consoles. I've been playing the game since early on December 3rd, and one thing that's pretty clear to me is that this experience doesn't warrant a full review because it's not a brand new game. I believe I'd be doing EA and fans a disservice by playing a score on what I consider more of a remastering than a new game. That said, here's the good, the bad, and the bottom line. The good, slight visual upgrades. And look, I think that really says a lot right there. I mean, slight visual upgrade, guys. We're talking about next gen. We're talking about hardware that is supposed to be on the level of the likes of PC gaming rigs that you pay $2,000-$3,000 for. We're talking about just radically cutting edge console graphics prowess that just does not have any representation uh, in the way of sports games when it comes to football. We've seen what the NBA has done with their graphics. We've seen the difference, and we're going to go through those too. I'm going to compare the graphical difference between NBA 2K21 on regular current gen consoles and on next gen, and then I'm going to flip it over and compare Madden 21 current gen once again with Madden 21 next gen. And it's kind of a weird thing to see that on one end, in the most popular sport in the country, we're only getting a slight visual upgrade. Says if you're looking for the kind of visual upgrade that gamers saw with NBA 2K21 and Spider-Man Miles Morales, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you won't find that here. That said, there are some cutscenes between plays that will draw more admiration. And you got to understand the kind of language that he's using here. The kind of thing that will draw some admiration. Like that's a sugar-coated way of saying there's some stuff that looks okay, but this isn't where you want to look if you're looking for really next gen. And, like we saw in the last stream, next gen in way of graphics, in the way that EA presented it when the very first Madden 21 trailer dropped, those images, those short little clips in the trailers that showed Tom Brady walking towards the line of scrimmage in the rain, those were truly next gen-esque style graphics that we were looking at. But hell no, that's not what they gave us when it was time to release the game. Nothing looks like that in the entire game of Madden 21 Next Gen. But let's go down further into the article. It says haptic feedback is awesome. I don't think anybody's really that surprised about that. Nobody's really gonna hang their hat on that. Play calling menu, which honestly, from a visual standpoint, is the most dramatic change in the entire game. The play calling menu is an adjustment, but a long-term win. The new play calling menu has more options than before, like finding plays for specific targets and even making a favorites list. The UI is very different than what most Madden fans are used to, so there is some adjustment necessary. Still, I see it as a change that will be positive in the long run. And that's purely a subjective thing. For some, it's that could be something that's cool. That could be something that does push a little bit more ease into the gameplay process. But does that really change the game itself? Does that really give us something that warrants the true moniker of a next gen title? Don't think so. It's not something that I would believe to be the case in any stretch of the imagination. And just like that, really just like that, all the positives seem to be finished. Play calling menu, haptic feedback, and slight visual upgrade. Now we get to the underwhelming. I usually call this the bad section. Once again, pay attention to the language that they use. The underwhelming is a sugar-coated way of saying the piss poor shit. I usually call this section the bad section, but instead I'm going with the underwhelming. It's not necessarily bad, at least not in every instance. And as I mentioned, this is more of a remaster than a full new release. And I really have a problem with how he phrases this, because a remaster is not necessarily what people expected. Because I wouldn't call NBA 2K21 a remaster. I'd call that there's enough difference in the graphics, in the structure, in the way they've realigned a lot of their franchise modes. There is enough change there to have a distinctly different game. They have the city instead of the neighborhood. They have the city now, a whole open world for online basketball challenges, daily challenges, tournaments, what have you. That is that's enough to distinctly have a different game and a different experience totally than what you would have on current gen with NBA 2K. So right there, talking about remastering means that you're not actually committing to make a create distinct changes that really do separate the next gen title from the current gen. And that's the difference between these two brands. That's the difference between 2K. That's the difference between them and EA Sports. And that's a big difference because, hey, for whatever people think about NBA 2K, they went the extra mile. You didn't see that with Madden. We saw a copy and paste job. We saw a literal flip of the pancake. It's just another side cooking on the skillet now. It's not really a change. It's not really something new. It's not fresh. It's still lifeless. It's still missing a lot of the football experience. But in the article here, it says players feel more weighted, but it needs balancing. Some users may like this, and I might ultimately join that group. However, at this point, the players mostly feel slow and sluggish, with the exception of the most dynamic athletes like Tyreek Hill, Lamar Jackson, and Christian McCaffrey. I'm all for there being a differentiator I'm all for there being a differentiator in this vein, but at the moment, the defense seems to be at a major disadvantage in space against most any skill position players. In my experiences, this has led to a lot more big plays down the field caused by missed tackles. And I think that's something that we saw in the original release of Madden 21 as well, is that defensive players were slowed down. They felt more sluggish. We wanted balance. We wanted balance so that, for example, a lot of people's complaints during this current gen or last year's Madden 20 was that you could literally cover an entire 40-yard portion of the field in a circle with one player. And this player can stop any route that happens inside of that 40-yard sector of the field. They can make a play on anything, which was completely unrealistic and completely against the spirit of how football's played. And the overreaction that EA had was they made it almost impossible to actually move your players into position. It's hard for them to move because they've slowed down their change of direction. Change of direction is one of the biggest measurements as a player that you can find in any kind of sport. Any athletic sport, you have to be able to move from one way to the other quickly, but under control and with accuracy. And in Madden, we just don't have that. You don't have the side-to-side movement that really does give you a realistic feel as being a player who can get under a passing route or somebody who can play over the top of a deep ball because you're able to move your safety laterally to try and cut the pass off. You just don't really see that in the game itself. And of course, here with the next gen version of the title, still the same way. Not seeing much of anything new in way of gameplay improvement, gameplay innovations. It says the players definitely move more realistically than before, which was the major connection with next gen stats, but defensive players need a little bit of a buff to allow them to compete. I think this is fixable, or admittedly, it might be something I get used to over the next few weeks. However, at this point, current gen Madden is actually more fun to play. That's probably a bit of a death blow, but after further review, it's how I'm feeling. And I think that's dead on. And we're talking about a game that we don't even think is good on current gen. We're talking about a game that really struggles to even make a play now game enjoyable. Just there's no soul. There's no energy to the game. Everything just looks like one long running animation that you get stuck in. Next up, says here, weather effects aren't a thing. I was initially told weather would have no impact on gameplay. Later, I was told the slipping and drop passes from current gen would still be in the game. I haven't seen either as of yet, and quite honestly, I'm not sure they were even quite as impacting as they should have been on the PS4 or Xbox One. While it is nice to see footprints in the snow on parts of the field, this aspect of the presentation is the epitome of underwhelming. So here we go. We have a Forbes contributor. Forbes contributor who themselves have played multiple versions of this game. And He kind of lays it out for you, just in a very simple way. The problem that we've all been talking about with EA. That problem is their inability to actually deliver on what they promised. Initially, he said that the weather would have no impact, and he was told that slipping and drop passes would remain in the game. Those things are not apparently in the game, as his playing of the game of the next gen version has revealed. And again, it's just EA being EA, right? EA not really giving us what we're looking for. It says no new modes. Well, all they need is MUT. What do they need? What do they need any modes for? All they need is what is I don't even know. Knockout KO, whatever the hell that mode is called, Superstar KO. The Yard. Those are the modes that you should be looking forward to. I mean, get the fuck out of here. He says, I'll keep this pretty short and plain. There are no new next-gen exclusive modes. And here we go. Lower quality visuals in some instances. EA wanted to make the sidelines more visibly appealing, and they accomplished their goal in some areas. However, there are some instances where the next-gen version becomes a visual downgrade. In some cutscenes, it appears the heads of linemen have simply been placed on the body of a wide receiver or a defensive back. The body type doesn't match, and this creates a very uncomfortable or unfavorable looking model on the screen, especially considering this is a next-gen upgrade. Next-gen stats is a useless gimmick at this point. I mean, come on, Forbes is even calling him out on this shit. Forbes is calling him out. One of the biggest drivers for Madden 21 on Next Gen was the use of Next Gen stats. A great usage of this tech would have been as an engine behind a new rating system. Seems like it's simple enough, right? However, instead, it's more of a useless statistical overlay that really means nothing in the grand scheme of things. A number pops up on the screen during some pretty nice looking replays, but none of the speeds actually feel faster than the others. And it feels as though it's all arbitrarily issued just for the sake of the graphic. Hopefully EA builds this out into something with more meat on the bones in future versions of the game. I mean, they're echoing everything that we talk about on Madden, from Ryan Moody to Soft Drink TV. All of these complaints that all of us gamers have had about this remain as they've always been. And now you have professional journalists with Forbes that also sees exactly what we see. It's just ridiculous. It's nonsense. It doesn't need to continue on like this. And that's why I have an idea. And hopefully this idea will be something that we can nurture in the future. But we'll talk about that later. It says the bottom line, Madden 21 on Next Gen was free to anyone who bought the game on PS4, Xbox One X. Because of that, it's hard to complain about it taking just a small bunny hop forward from the current gen version. That said, it's impossible not to compare this to what 2K did with NBA 2K21. The difference is night and day. NBA 2K21 on Next Gen still has some bugs to work out to reach its potential, but at least they tried to deliver a different experience. At some point in the next couple of weeks, NBA 2K21 will have its act together, and it will have still delivered a true next-gen experience about 8 months before Madden. And, I mean, that is really the crux of the problem with Madden, is that we're not seeing a game that has taken any real innovative steps forward in what feels like decades. I mean, honestly, guys, it feels like it's been forever since we've actually had a Madden game that takes a step in the direction of being a more dynamic, a more focused, a more entertaining, a more engrossing experience for the gamer. It just hasn't been that way. That's been a huge problem. That is a huge problem. That's why we need competition in the market. We need competition in the football market. Now, let's take a look at some of the graphical comparisons here. And again, I mean, this is going to be more of a us kind of poking fun at the hilarity of a game that doesn't seem to really uh, look much different than a current gen version that is, I guess, mathematically supposed to be 4 times less powerful than what we have on the next gen systems. But let's take a look here. Let me hit the audio on that. Starts of the game. I mean, I don't know, guys. I mean, this is PS4 on the left. This is next gen PS5 on the right. Other than, lighting, which we all knew lighting was going to be a big upgrade for this next gen of consoles over our current gen anyway. You look at this, and you're not really seeing that much. It's not anything where you would know if there was no label on either one of these and you just saw them out in the wild at a bus stop, or they have a picture or an advertisement for Madden and it looks like this and one looks like that. I'm not so sure that someone would be able to really pick out which one's actually the next gen, because there's not much of a difference outside of the lighting. It gives a little bit more. It gives a little bit more to the colors, especially with the whites. You can see that the white's a little bit more, a little bit pure, a little bit fresher white on the PS5 side, but it's really not. It's really not giving any kind of true separating factors between what's current gen and what's next gen. Here we are again. And what's crazy is that both these intros are identical. Like, we shouldn't be able to compare these just like this, like intro for intro, everything being exactly the same. They should have, they didn't take the time to really give anything new to this PlayStation 5 version. I just can't understand that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We see here, the most that you can see, from my eyes at least, is going to be the wrinkles on the uniform. You would expect things like this. These were things that NBA was doing in current gen, where the uniforms actually move with the bodies of the players. We're looking at this here. I don't really see, does that really look any different? Does this look any different? I don't really see nothing here. You guys tell me. Holy different greens, Batman. Is this really different? I don't see nothing different in this. Nothing. Looks the same. Look at his beard. Look at the little ginger's beard. His beard's the same. Mustache, the same. This is PS4 versus PS5. Are you shitting me? This is ridiculous. That is about as close a comparison. That's about as close as a comparison as I've seen, and just, side by side looks. And it looks, there's no real differential here. There's nothing. It's the same game. It looks the same. Looks exactly the same. Wow. So our lighting has a little effect here. You can see that from the bleachers, the top of the bleachers. You can see the lighting at the top of the stadium. These things are all things that we knew would have an effect on the next gen console. So nothing there. And again, the white looks a little crisper white. I'll give that all day. That is an improvement. But again, if you take these in isolation, you couldn't tell me which one of these was the PS5 and which one wasn't, because they're really pretty identical. And this is in 4K. I mean, I know it doesn't look like 4K to you guys, but this is in fact in 4K. I'm going to slow it down a little bit here, but you can tell. Whoops. You can tell not really, I mean, not really a difference there. I mean, we're talking about things that look pretty identical. Hold on, let's go back a little bit there. I mean, I might even argue on this particular shot that it looks better on the PS4. I think there's an argument there that it does look a little bit better. It's a little bit more vibrant. This looks a little bit dim. Maybe that's because of the lighting system and how it works. But I think these are pretty similar. What do you guys think? The grains look a little bit different, but I mean, come on. Does that really uh change the way that this look? It looks like it pops more. It just looks more like it pops out of the screen a little bit more on the PS4 on this particular shot. I think that it's safe to say that last gen looks better right here to me. You know, it's missing some of the lighting, obviously, from the arm right here. You're not seeing that same lighting here, but I mean, are you going to notice that when you're playing? No. No. I mean, this is close up. So, you know, maybe that has something to do with it on this side, but I don't know. I feel like this PS5 version looks very muddy. I feel like it looks very muddy. It doesn't look very crisp. It looks like it looks like the colors aren't very. There's not a very distinct difference in where the colors begin and where they end. It just looks really kind of muddled up. And on this side, it looks pretty crisp. I mean, this is PS4. It looks pretty crisp. What do you guys think? I mean, there can be an argument for saying that it looks a little bit darker, but it doesn't. It just doesn't look. Just doesn't do it for me. Doesn't do it for me. I look at PS4's version here, and I say PS4 wins out on that particular shot there. Okay. Even here, it's hard to really look at it, and I mean, because there's detail. The details on his padding here, they look just as good as here. It's not a huge difference. I just don't understand where they didn't take the opportunity to really take advantage of the graphical power that they had with the PS5. Because there should be a very distinct difference between how these two games look. And again, yes, the coloring, I see there can be an argument for more realistic coloring on this side with the PS5, but it doesn't hold true in every scenario that we've looked at so far. There have been cases where coloring on the PS4 looks better. So it's hard to really, you know, look at it and be able to see it all the way. I mean, I think this one looks better here. I think this does look better, but it's also shot from a different angle. So being shot from a different angle, you know, it might look the same if you have these on the same angles. Uh, my favorite football game of all time. I'm looking in the chat, just checking out a couple things here. Oh, my favorite football game of all time. Just from a nostalgia standpoint, I'm definitely going to say NFL 2K5. But if I'm talking about from a from a gameplay standpoint, All Pro 2K8, All Pro 2K8 for me, that was the most realistic playing football game that I've ever played. Like it was realistic to a fault, to in a certain extent. It was realistic to a fault. Um, there were so many things in All Pro 2K8 that were just I'd never seen them in football games. Real time injuries. Injuries happened in real time. They happened in real time. I'd had plays where my running back breaks to the sideline and he pulls up and grabs his hamstring and starts to stumble. And we'll look at some of that stuff on here too, because if we're going to compare it, we're gonna look at all of them. Now, there are some good games out there right now. I mean, Max Football 20. I haven't had a chance to play that one. I have played Axis. I have played. I think it was like a Mutant League football game. I think Backbreaker was pretty nice for its time. It was definitely, if nothing else, a good tech demo as to what physics could be, with tackling. And then you had Blitz. Blitz has always been good. Blitz has always been a top of the line action football game. That was the great thing about the football market before this exclusivity license shit started taking over, is that you had so many different football games that gave you different kind of they fit into different niches. So you had Blitz, which Blitz was more of an arcade, over the top. It was like how NBA Jams was. It was NFL Blitz. A little bit of comedic element added to it as well. And that was an option for a gamer to play Blitz. And there were people who loved Blitz. There were people who played Blitz. Blitz would be a great esports game right now, I believe. Blitz would be a huge esports game. Let me take the super chat real quick. Formerly Rodline $4.99. If you did a blind comparison, I'd bet 99% of people would not be able to pick the next gen. This isn't a change big enough to be next gen. And you're exactly right. It's not distinctive enough for you to look at it and say that is clearly, this game on this side is clearly has better graphic fidelity than this game on the left. There's not, that space isn't there for Madden. It's just not that big enough of a gap. And while we're sitting here chopping it up about that, I'm going to go ahead and pull up an NBA 2K21 comparison, because that it's going to be there. It's going to be there. It's going to be there. Let me pull it up. NBA 2K21 next gen versus current gen. Oh my goodness. Whoa. All right. See, here we go. This is going to be, this is the other side of that. This is where now, let me make sure. Let's see if I can get one in 4K. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at this one. This one, this is, all right, so we see this here, and we look at this and we say, okay, that is, the comparison there. And let me try and stay in order here. And look, you guys are all talking about excellent stuff in the chat. I see NFL Street in there. I see Axis. I see NFL Fever. NFL Fever was another option. You had what was it? What was the PlayStation one? That was NFL Game Day? NFL Game Day, I think it was. That was another option that we used to have. Like, man, NFL 2K, formerly Rodline, NFL 2K actually originated on the Dreamcast. The first NFL 2K game was made by Sega Sports in response to EA Sports refusing to support the Dreamcast console. Sega went ahead and created their own Sega Sports division, and they had Visual Concepts, who had done a couple of football games for the Sega Saturn and for the Sega Genesis before that. They were the ones who birthed NFL 2K. So NFL 2K was a direct Visual Concepts Sega development team that had that as their headline football title. But let's look at this here. We see this. That's PS4, PS5, Madden. And we're going to come back to it, but I want to share this. Now this, for everybody to take a look at, this here, sorry. This here is NBA 2K21 on the PS4. Now, when we look at this and you compare it, there is going to be a distinct difference. So that's PS4. This is PS5. Look at the tattoos on LeBron James. Tattoos are much clearer. It's not as faded. The jersey looks much more layered, looks much more crisp. Doesn't have a kind of, it looks a little thick on his shoulders on the PS4, but you can see better lighting, better skin features. You can see the actual texture on his face. You can see just the clarity, even in the court. You look at the seats behind him. You can see that the seats behind him actually have. It looks like there's a little bit of there's some depth to the chairs sitting right behind him on the court. Towels on the ground. Whereas in this, looks a little bit more flat. Doesn't look to have very much depth in the chairs. There's a little bit clearer lighting pathing on them. And again, it's not to say that there was a massive difference, but there was a big enough difference to have a true change in a lot of the models in NBA 2K. Now we look at, this one right here. This looks radically different here. That's PS4, NBA 2K21. Giannis. Giannis there. And just from the very start, you can look at his hair. It starts with his hair. You can see his hair on the side of his head here. That's supposed to be a fade. And then you see it here. And there's just a world of difference in how that looks. Just a world of difference. World of difference there. You can see it. You can see it in the way that his facial expression is even set. Like that looks photorealistic right there. That looks photorealistic. Wow. Wow. Now tell me that those two pictures compared side to side, you can tell. Look at the mesh holes on his jersey on the right. Look at the shadowing on his face. The comparison is it's obvious. You can do the same thing with these here and you have a totally different result. You can put these two pictures anywhere you want. And if you ask someone which one is the more realistic photo, they're going to pick the one on the right. Easy. It's an easy choice. Look at that. Wow. Whew. Easy choice. We got a super chat here from Butter Biscuit 92. He is a multi-month member of the offensive line. If you haven't already done so, consider joining the O-line. You'll be getting online perks. We will be doing a number of different streams where I have people come on and play games with me whenever I get on for online gaming. And you'll get discounts off of merchandise in my merch store. So consider joining the offensive line. For $5, Butterbiscuit92 says, can't give 2K any props because the game still isn't next gen on PC. I got a GTX 1070. I don't need 4K or ray tracing. So 4K or ray tracing to still get close to that next level. And hey, I hear you on that because that's been one of my questions too, Butter Biscuit. That's been one of my questions as well, is whether or not they're going to give the next gen versions to the PC, because the PCs could handle the next gen version, a year ago. The PCs could handle the next gen version. So, time will tell. Time will tell. Maybe they will do an update. Maybe they'll bring one out. Maybe after the new year, we might see the next gen update for the PC. Not sure, but we can hope. One can hope for that. One can hope. But here with NBA, and we'll look at a few more here in regards to the players. And here's another marquee player, Kawhi Leonard. You can look at this. You can see where there's slight limitations in the ability to really give the detail that you expect in the player. You can look at his jersey. You can look at his tattoos. They're a little bit faded here. You do have the reflections on the court. You do have the towels and things of that nature. But let's see how the PS5 handles it. Now on this one, again, there can be an argument made here that maybe not a huge difference in the player in his player model. But you can definitely see that there's been some work with texturing on the face. You can see that there's been more detail put into the braids. The jersey obviously has much more detail, lighting, reflections, all things of that nature. I would say this one is more close to a minimal update in regards to the way it looks in graphics. Now we got James Harden, and wow, this is another one. You can look at this and you can see, while this does look good, no, nobody's saying this looks bad by any stretch, but it does, but does it really hold up to this one where we see that entire beard fleshed out, layered? He has the texturing, the look. His face looks a little bit more symmetrical. Doesn't look so wide at the temples like it does on the PS4 version. The beard is alive. We can see that. The beard is truly alive here. The jerseys, I mean, you can see the difference in the jerseys almost is night and day. And just the way that they've got his beard, the way they've textured his face, they've updated his hair. Everything looks very crisp. I would say that's a decent enough upgrade in terms of his character model to say that it does have a next gen upgrade. Here we go, Anthony Davis. This one again, I think, is more in way of just extra, the ability to get more detail into his face, more layers, more shadows, more texture. And it really does give it a more next gen look. It gives it a look that does give you a next gen feel. I mean, they both look good. That's the crazy part about it. They both look good, which is a testament to just how 2K really does handle their game. Now here's another one that really looks like night and day. I mean, it does give a much more that looks photorealistic there to an extent. That really does. This looks good for a video game. This, on the other hand, right here looks photorealistic. That looks like that could be mistaken for a photo if you just sit it still. I think it looks really good. Really good. Now we'll go with this one. Let me see if there's any more Let's go to a couple of let me see. Let's go. I mean, I think everybody can appreciate that Stephen Curry's is definitely a step up. Let's go Luka Doncic of my Dallas Mavericks. Again, I think it gives a very updated, more photorealistic look. The shading, the texturing, all of it's there. It really does give you a fresh look. And this one, I think, is another one that's going to be a drastic improvement when you look at it. Boom. I think that looks really good. I think they've got much more detail into the actual graphics, into the layers of the player's face. You see a really strong, really consistent upgrade in players' faces. Now, obviously, you're wearing a helmet in football, can be a little bit different, can be a little bit harder to see the differences. But like I said, we all saw, now stop that there. We all saw that there was, in fact, a palpable difference in the graphics between NBA 2K21 on PS4 and NBA 2K21 on PS5. Now we come back to this with Madden. I mean, that's just, I don't know. That just doesn't look good to me. And yeah, 2K has had its own issues. I'm not saying by any stretch that all of that stuff is just night and day that much better. There were a couple models in there that were upgrades, but not substantial upgrades. But I think there were the majority were indeed very much different, very much more, very much more improved in way of just fidelity. It just was there. But here, let me make this a little bit bigger. Let's go into full screen. But here, I mean, it's not enough. It's just not enough. It doesn't look. I don't really see. I don't even. No, I again think that it looks better on the PS4 to a certain extent. It does. We'll let it run. See, I think here we go again. This is another face-up kind of comparison. I mean, there's going to be sharper lighting here on the helmet. There's going to be better dynamic lighting for the most part. That's to be expected. This is next gen after all. But I mean, when we look at these two pictures, they're indistinguishable to a certain extent. Indistinguishable. And right now we're talking about just fidelity, but just not really it's not enough. Not enough to really I mean, we can look at it right here. It's right there in front of us, guys. These look identical. These look identical. And we all know that Carson Wentz hasn't been doing much of this all year. He just hasn't. Let me speed this up. Let's go on. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting into some gameplay. So this is PS5. Okay. I mean, I don't. There's not much we're going to see in here that's really going to give us an idea of, this really looking any different. So let me speed this back up. Okay, let me see if there is a. Okay, so this is actually okay. This is PS4. This is actually PS4. So this is PS4. And this is PS5. Coach looks about the same. Don't really see much of a difference. I do think that this movement here is a little bit more realistic. That is a little bit more realistic of a movement from the tight end catching the ball and turning up the field. I do like that aspect of the game. This is all. I think this is all here. All this here is PS5. Now look there. Now here's something that we would think that we would get a little bit more realistic with. Now look at the head coach walking in the snow with no footsteps. The players next to him are walking with footsteps. So how do they miss that? How do they miss that detail? That should be something that should be easy enough for them to be able to get done. Should be easy enough for them to be able to get done. There shouldn't be a situation where the people who are actually animated characters, animated individuals, don't have proper, consistent environmental degradation that works with them and having a continuity with all the players and all the staff, especially the head coach on the sideline. Especially. So here, we're looking at the sideline. On the top, you got PS5. On the bottom, you have PS4. Now, there are obviously more rendered players on the sideline here. On this is really these aren't rendered players. These aren't players that are given the same amount of fidelity as the players on the field. But you can see that while there are a few players, like one right here, and one right here that are fully rendered, this player is not fully rendered. This player is not fully rendered. These players back here are not fully rendered. These players back here are not fully rendered. And we have pretty much, these are pretty much multiple identical rendered characters wearing the exact same thing, with different faces and even faces that don't necessarily fit onto the body that they're on top of, which we can see right here. And it just kind of continues on. So here you have fully rendered, and fully rendered. And then you have not fully rendered. You have fully rendered quarterback here. Not fully rendered, not fully rendered. So it's mix and match. They did a mix and match. They didn't really give it the attention that they could have given it without stressing these systems in the slightest. In the slightest. And of course, it wouldn't be Madden if their offensive lineman didn't know how to block. Look at this. Where is this guard pulling to? Here's your Mike linebacker right here. If you're a guard pulling on a power play, you're pulling right into that because the running back's following you right up into the gap. Still, so the blocking logic still sucks. And not really any difference here. We can't look at, we're not looking at these. Like now you see it in its actual full speed and you just don't really see much of a difference. This is PS4. This is PS5. Same animation. This is what kills me about this game. You get the same canned animation. That is just one animation running. It's not actually you as the player making the catch. It's the computer deciding whether or not your stats are good enough to make the catch because of that canned animation. So in some instances, you're going to drop that. You're going to drop that pass. This is PS4. This is PS5. I mean, you really can't see anything. There's nothing really in way of difference. Nothing really in way of difference here. They're going to show him the tablet, all this, all that. So, looking at the chat, looking at what some of you guys are talking about here. If I had to make my own football game, if I had to, let's say if I had to take Madden and I had to, make some changes. Well, first and foremost, I would create a blocking logic for the offensive line just based on a couple of principal rules that we have in real life football. The 4 down linemen must always be blocked. You never let a down lineman through untouched. And in the run game, you'd have to have a logic system that's based on assignments designated based on the callbackers. So there's always going to be one side will always have 2-on-1 as far as defensive line is concerned, and one side will be 1-on-1. There's never a scenario where a defensive lineman is left untouched. And there's always at least 2 of the 3 linebackers that are going to be blocked by linemen in the box. I would make sure that I start a lot of my logic from that standpoint. You have to have a basis for the offensive line blocking logic. Pulling plays, any play where a lineman has to pull, the pull will usually, unless it's a play that's designated to go outside, the pull will usually be inside the tackles. The puller will always turn up inside of the tackles. The puller will never run outside of the tackles because you never generally have a play, unless it's a counter, which is a kick out play. You're never going to have the guards pulling up into anything or pulling outside of the box of a run play. So in the box, as most of you know with football, players who are in the box are inside the tight ends, inside the tackles. Any player from the offensive line up to the linebackers is generally part of the box. There is no blocking where a guard who is on the right side will pull all the way to the outside, all the way outside of the left tackle, unless it's a counter play. And generally, they pull to the edge of the line to kick out. They don't go any further. They don't chase anything that's coming through because they know where their called linebacker is going to be at. They go to that called linebacker. And from that, I would personally set up a kind of an alarm, a system of an alert system for blocking assignments. So when I say that, I mean that with quarterbacks, for instance, you have quarterbacks who are really very good at feeling their pocket and helping keep their offensive linemen on their blocks. Patrick Mahomes is really good at this. He stays in the pocket and only moves enough to put his linemen on blocks, to keep them engaged. He'll move a little bit to the left because he knows that defensive end that's trying to rush him from his left side is going to widen a little bit once he feels that Patrick Mahomes is starting to drift a little bit in his drop. But if there's a blitz, or if there is any amount of pressure that begins to show before a play or during a play, I would have, as a feature, I would have there be a little rumble depending on the quarterback. So a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes is usually very good at seeing blitzes. He's usually very good at knowing where a blitz is coming from. You'll be able to make a quick check, or you'll be able to know ahead of time before the play starts that there might be a blitz coming from a certain way based on the player's IQ. I would have an IQ rating in a game like Madden, where a quarterback like Josh Allen, a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, a quarterback like Russell Wilson, these quarterbacks get special alerts, special signals that they can get before a play based on their IQ, whereas a player like Carson Wentz may not get a same kind of alert before a play starts that he has a blitz coming. So that blitz might come faster because he doesn't see it coming. He may not be able to get up, his passing icons may not come up as quickly because he doesn't have the awareness, and it would make it harder to play with him as a quarterback. There should be a difference between how you play with certain quarterbacks. Some quarterbacks aren't good at picking up blitzes. Some quarterbacks aren't good at reading coverages. I think in the grand scheme of things, if you're looking for sim, then you have to know that there would generally be quarterbacks who aren't going to be as good in some scenarios as others. And Ben Roethlisberger, he's another quarterback that does a good job at feeling blitzes, at seeing blitzes, and exploiting the empty areas that a lot of times blitzes leave in coverages. So I would have it to where at the line of scrimmage, when the quarterback's in the shotgun or under center, let's say it's a 3rd and 10 or a 3rd and 8. Well, on a 3rd and 8, you might get a blitz because defenses are going to want you to get that ball out fast so that they can make a tackle on a short route to keep ahead of the chains so that it's 4th down. Well, Ben Roethlisberger under center, even with the defense disguising, your controller may vibrate just a little bit, a little multi-tap vibrate. Well, with that multi-tap vibrate, that's going to give you a new hot route tree to use for one of your receivers, and you're only allowed to really hot route one, but you would be able to hot route one receiver into a desired route to combat that blitz. So it's going to tell you that a blitz is coming. You're going to have to know what side it's coming from and which wide receiver to give a hot route to. That's where the player comes into it. I think that kind of system makes it more, it allows for you to have to look at the defense and know where your open spots are going to be if a blitz is coming. And if you have a player who has a higher IQ, then they're able to, then their route tree will be one that fits into filling that void that the blitz is going to bring. I've always thought of that as being something that, you see it every week in the NFL, where there are quarterbacks who can make those quick hot throws because they know a blitz is coming from that side. They can see that a blitz is coming from the other side. And then there are some quarterbacks who that a blitz is coming, it's disguised, it's coming late, and the quarterback actually has time to get the ball out. And a lot of times they don't do it. They don't get the ball out to the hot route that would easily be open. In some cases, they're not even running a hot route. There are videos and O-line breakdowns that I've done for teams like Philadelphia where Carson Wentz actually had plenty of time. His O-line actually picked up the blitz perfectly. They actually picked it up perfectly against the Bengals, Carlos Dunlap, linebackers, blitzing, and they picked it up. And they actually held a good pocket for Carson Wentz. And he didn't have a hot route anywhere. These guys are all running deep. So he's holding the ball, and he gets sacked. He gets sacked because he didn't have a hot route in his arsenal to use. He didn't even look to see if there was a blitz coming to try and give a hot route to a receiver that would give him an out and keep him from taking a hit. Those are the differences between some quarterbacks in the league. If it was a Ben Roethlisberger, he's probably telling his slot, hey, hot, hot, hot. And so that slot receiver will maybe jab step in like he's going to run a slant and come back out into the flat to get a quick throw. Or he may run a quick slant to the inside and get a quick dump off from Roethlisberger. The blitz has no effect because of that. And that's the difference between a player like Ben Roethlisberger and Carson Wentz. So that's something that I think a good simulation football game needs to have. And I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do because we're talking about computer programming here, but there needs to be a system built in like this for situations in football games. And when you have a football engine that is actually specifically designed for just football, then those are aspects of the engine that are going to be much more streamlined and much more clearly thought out and refined into a final product than when you deal with a system like with what EA Sports is dealing with, where you have a first-person shooter engine being reused as a sports engine. It just doesn't work. It doesn't provide you with the kind of flexibility to make a worthwhile game. And that's why we haven't seen a difference in these games, because the only way for them to really break it into, or to really kind of morph it into a more realistic game is to break the entire engine and start all over. And apparently they're too lazy to do that. They don't want to rewrite an entire video game engine. But that's really what's going to have to happen, or you're going to continue to see the same thing. Just these little things here and there, but they really don't translate into realistic features on the field. That's why the game has become so much more of an arcade game over the years, because they just don't have anywhere to go. They can't refine the engine because the engine is so cumbersome. It's just something that's not flexible. It's a very rigid system. And that really is, that's the crux of it. That's why when you look at a game like NFL 2K or All Pro, it just really doesn't, there's just really not a comparison in how well that game provides you with the true football experience. And I'll even pull up some All Pro football. 2K8. It's crazy. There's already stuff like this already set up for people to look at. Let's see here. And of course, a lot of these are Ryan Moody 21 videos. Okay, here we go. This one looks like a good one. All Pro Football 2K8 is still amazing in 2020. Let's see. All right, so I was talking about this on our last stream, and I think it's worth pointing out here when it comes to 2K and how they were already a decade ahead of Madden when it came to such things as X factors. This is an example of a gold star player on All Pro Football, Jeff Warren. And he has quick feet, speed burner, finesse. Player has top-notch agility for his position. Player has top-notch speed for his position. Player has a second-level spin and juke move. Let me see. Quarterback. QB is talented at throwing the ball out of the pocket. Scrambler. Quick feet. Player has top-notch agility for his position. Deep threat. Receiver is skilled at catching deep passes and draws extra attention from safeties. Hops. Player has excellent jumping ability. Cornerback. Ball hawk. Defender has a keen sense for the ball on passes. Coverage bonus. Player has excellent pass coverage skills. These are all things that we're seeing now in Madden. And they're being marketed as, innovative features, X factors. But these things have been in All Pro Football. They were in All Pro Football 2K8. A bronze running back has defender has a bronze H back has a second level charge spin. Route God receiver is a great route runner. This is a bronze star receiver, Sam McDonald. You just go through these and you see so many different these would be called X factors right now in Madden. Acrobatic catches. Player is able to make difficult circus catches. Breakaway burst. Player has an extra gear when running away from defenders. Soft hands. Player has excellent hands. You got a QB. QB's threat of passing makes draw plays more lethal. Pass threat. Scrambler. QB is talented at throwing the ball out of the pocket. Speed burner. Player has top-notch speed for his position. And it just goes on and on. These are the different aspects of the game that are just that were ahead of its time. Things that right now are being considered innovative in some degrees. But I mean, this was a game from 2007. You can see the interaction with the coaches, the players on the sideline. You can see the breakdowns. I mean, everything was based on a tier system. So you really did have, now you have referees on the field, something we haven't seen in ages in Madden. And now we get to the gameplay, and you can see there's still referees on the field. 1, 2. And, nothing's ever perfect. I mean, I've never said the game was perfect, but it's very close to being a perfectly realistic football game. I mean, and it's not a game that's animation dependent. These are dynamic animations. They're interruptible. They're not canned, and players can make plays. Like if you have a good enough player in this game, you can break a tackle. Okay. Power play. Look at this pull. Let me slow this down. Look at this pull from this guard. This right guard is going to pull for this edge here. Now watch how he pulls on this play. He opens his hips. He gets up the field, gets on his block, and the running back slips trying to hit the hole. He tries to cut back. He slips, and he still gets tackled. Oh, he broke the tackle. Wow. That was dope. Oh, wow. That's realistic right there because the running back sees that hole late because that block kicks out. He's got the tackle kicking out, or the guard kicking the block out. 73 kicks him out. He's trying to make a move to the inside. He made it too late, and he slipped. The defense just wasn't able to make a play to get him tackled. And he's still making a run for it. And he gets hawked down eventually. But these things and you can see the momentum even in the tackle. In Madden, that tackle might just create a dead stop in his momentum. But here, they actually fall forward. They slide forward. There's momentum there. There's momentum there. And here we got a guy scrambling out of the pocket. And they got him angled off. He's not going to get very far. Wow, look at this. This is a great, look at this defensive end. Silver defensive end going up against a generic player. And it's a realistic beat of the block. He just powers through. But look, he's out of position now. He can't make the play. He takes a shot. You can see the pocket even. This it looks like this guy's been out of the pocket for a minute, and he still has a pocket. You've got two guys here blocking these guys. One-on-one here, one-on-one here, one-on-one here. These guys are already into their routes. He's open. He's actually open. He's open. So he's got options here. He just decides he's not going for it. And now he tries to get outside of the pocket. And look at where the defender rushes him. The defender rushes him he rushes to the outside to keep him from getting the edge. And that lineman can't do anything. He has to let him go through, or that's a holding call. Makes sense. Makes sense. It may not always be perfect, but it makes sense. He keeps him from he's rushing inside. And the crazy thing is that tackle's trying to give his quarterback the outside to go around. And he can't make the throw. Now, of course, there's clipping there, but again, this game is from 2007. Let's not forget. Oh, what a play. Holy crap. Okay, now in Madden, I think it's safe to say that in Madden, this is usually a catch. Look at the safety playing over the top in cover 3. The ball's thrown. He breaks back down on it, gets in front, makes a play. That's a generic player. That's not even a tiered player, a top-level player. Like, that's football. That looks like good football to me. What do you guys think? Looks like good football. Look at this run. The blocks, got good blocks. I mean, that's... The linemen are all, oh, wow. Even here, if we take a look at this, I think this is a bronze linebacker right here going up against a generic tight end. This tight end has got him one-on-one because these two right here are blocking on this guy. Center's blocking right here. I think these two would be taking on these two right here. Yep, plays out that way. And this bronze goes through this generic player, but there's a consequence. He goes down too. They can't make a play. Comes in, blocker stays with him, gets on his block. This is all football logic, a football engine that is purely a football engine. Momentum. He falls forward. You're not going to stop him from falling forward while he's running. That's crazy. This is a game from 2007. Here's another play, a pitch play. He's playing the outside. This guy's actually playing it pretty good. The user, he's played it pretty good, and they get him boxed up. That's good football. He played outside, took up 2 blocks. That's exactly right. That's how you would play it in football. This is the edge defender right here, this guy. He's the edge defender. It's his responsibility and his alone to turn this play back to the inside. He has to turn this back to the inside, or you're going to have a blocker, 2 blockers, a blocker right here with the receiver. You're going to have a blocker right here. You're going to have a blocker right here. If they get outside and flank the defense, they're going to have a seam right up the numbers. This guy's playing user. He rushes to the outside, takes up 2 blockers. That is exactly what happens in real football. That is exactly what happens in real football. If you play it the right way, the game will play it the right way. Now look, you have 2 bronze defenders. You have 2 bronze defenders here, and this is where the play is going to be made. Because you've taken up these 2 blockers and kind of stuffed the running back, he knows he can't get outside. He's got a defender right there. He's going to try and squeeze in here, but you've got guys on pursuit. Guys already coming downhill. Guys already coming across. Guys running to the play. So he gets hit. He doesn't have anywhere to go, and that's it. They shut the play down. That's excellent. That's actually pretty damn spot on football logic. And the user is the one who started it. He knew what to do. He knew he had to keep that edge. Can't let him get outside. And that's how it played out. See, that's on him. He has to be over here to make this play. That's on our user. He's supposed to be following this guy out. and he lets him get outside of him. He's open. So now, but again, they make the play, they move on. And I know I'm going through a lot of these plays on All Pro, but this is just a random game. Some guy who's not even great at the game is playing it. But he's playing pretty decent for football. And look, now the running back's in a bad position. He can't go nowhere. He's getting run down. And that's good. That's good football. You're not going to win every try. You're not going to win every try. Now here we go. Let's look at this. Let's look at this at this pocket. Look at it. See, this is what I like to see right here with the left tackle and the left guard. Let me back up just a little bit. This guy rushes inside to the guard. So the tackle is staying on the same level with the left guard. And he's not committing to engage, solely by himself there. But now he's helping his guard and keeping one side of his body free. Because if this guy was to blitz, this tackle would have to come up and get him. Look at this guy. He's not forcing himself to be engaged with the quarterback. He's setting. This guy keeps rushing outside. He's going to keep setting. Quarterback has control of the pocket there and makes a great pass. I mean, hey, it looks, and look at that. That's great hit detection. He jumps over, he hits the ground. Nobody's going through each other and acting like there's nothing there. Again, we're looking at the pocket. You got center and the guard double teaming. Guard right here by himself, tackle by himself. I mean, everything looks fluid. It's working the right way. It's working the way football is designed to work. QB drops, everything. And you know what's crazy, guys? I have this game on my computer emulated. I have it at 4K resolution emulated. Maybe tomorrow night after the football games, I will live stream All Pro Football 2K8, and I have I think it's the 1993 NFL roster completely loaded on the game. And maybe I'll play that with you guys, or maybe I'll play that for you guys to look at, so we can go through it, and I can play the game. Hell, once I finish this stream, I might see if I can set it up, and maybe I can do it tonight. So stay tuned for that. I'll see what I can do about getting it done tonight. But if I can't do it tonight, I'll definitely do it tomorrow night for sure. I might, jump on it tonight for a little while, and try and basically, take you guys through the game, because I got it. Shoot, I'm just gonna have to shut the music on and off because it definitely has copyrighted music on it. Okay, so here's a play where this puller isn't able to get a good kick out on this. This is what we call, this is a tag block. This is a tag block. This is a tackle around the guard, and he generally he wouldn't pull they wouldn't switch people that they block in real life football. That guard would be pulling for an outside backer with the tight end blocking down. So 72 or whoever that would be blocking down on that defensive end. But you can see, even with the block, like, he's getting pushed back, and that could have been a hold, but he just lets him go, falls into the ground. These are all dynamic blocks that happen in real time. They're not canned animations. And that's because the engine is built to be dynamic. Even there, look at that. Look at how that pass is affected. Look at how that pass is affected. He can't get a clean rotation on his pass. And look at how the ball comes out. It comes out like a duck. And he overplayed it. And, that was that. I think he gave us another touchdown here too. Yeah. Like, that ball came out as a duck. Okay, so here he's back on offense, got another pull. Look at your puller. Your puller makes the right block. Now that guy should have made the play. That's where everything's not perfect. He shouldn't have made the play, should have made that tackle. Guard does, I mean, the running back can cut back there, and he actually does a pretty good job of getting something out of nothing. I mean, this is football. I mean, for video game football, this is as realistic as it's going to get. This is as realistic as it's going to get. Look at that. This is all dynamic. See, if this was Madden, that animation right there is the only animation you're going to get because he's already pulling him down. But here, boom, he knocks him off of that tackle and takes a shot at him, then jumps over him and falls down. So that's realistic. That is as realistic as it gets. I have the RPS3 emulator, I think it's called. But yeah, I think I'm going to do that once we finish here, and we'll be done here in a few minutes. We've been going for about an hour and a half, so about 5 more minutes of this, and then we're going to call it a stream. Make sure you let Ryan Moody know that you're pissed at him for not showing up. Make sure you smash that like button as well. You guys have been awesome through this. Been sitting right around 90 people in the stream. I'd love it if we could get over 100. So hit that share button if you like as well. Share with your friends. Now here we go. Let's take a look at this, because this is I think this play is a play that's definitely going to be worth looking at. Quarterback drops back. He starts to roll out, and look at how the pocket is formed for him. Look at the pocket. They've got him space. He's got room to move. This guy is in a bad position. He's going to have to make a decision whether he wants to come at the quarterback or stay in coverage. This guy's in a bad position because he may even come up for the quarterback. He's got to decide whether he's going to cover him or whether he's going to try and pick up the slack if this guy comes at the quarterback and he has to come over and cover over here, depending on the coverage they're in. Looks like, oh wow, look at this. Look at this. This is dynamic right here. Watch, safety. Safety starts to cover over the top here, sees that this is open, and cuts back for it. I mean, that's he makes the play, because really that would have been a touchdown. That would have been a touchdown. The safety realized that he was making a mistake. Starts to cover over the top. He stops and breaks back because the ball's getting passed into a corner route. That's damn good. That's damn good, AI. That's damn good AI. Here we go. Another pitch play. Got to make a move. Scoop. Tries up. Nope. They got him. And of course, I mean, there's some clip in there, but I mean, again, this is a game from 2007. From 2007. This is a 13-year-old game. This game has hot routes. It has, coverage adjustments. All those things are all in the game. You can see that they're changing their coverage here. They're moving back, giving a little shell, drops back. He throws a ball. That doesn't look like a good decision. Oh, wow. It's again, nothing's ever all the way perfect. This guy, this safety, or that backer right there on the other team on the defense, he's really not in great position. He's moving away from the ball. And just like you would expect, he kind of has to reach back to try and make a play on it. He can't make a play. That guy juggles it. He actually gets hit, and it bounces up to the next guy. And he makes the play for the touchdown. And that's that. I mean, you can tell he's even happy shit. He got it. But you see it. This is the kind of excitement that a game like this can give you, because it actually plays with some logic behind it. Takeoff return. Got a block. Kind of sets him up. Oh, He misses there. Wow, he misses there. Okay, computer's trying to make a move. Ooh. So, I mean, even in a short, he got to the 30-yard line there. But tell me that doesn't look, and I'll speed it back up here a little bit. But tell me that doesn't look like actual football. He misses. He's tackling him, but he breaks out of it. And then this one, they finish him up there. And then he jogged to the sideline. That's another nice little touch. And I'm sure there's going to be some sideline interaction here as well. Oh, wow. Nice catch. Look at the quarterback's pocket. He only has one actual rated rusher or rated offensive lineman, tiered lineman. All right, let's move forward a little bit here. Let me get into the fourth quarter. See how it does when he gets closer to the end of the game, because I think it's a 14-7 game. Look at that little shovel pass. Momentum matters in this game. Momentum matters. Moving forward gives you momentum. Oh, he gets a break. He makes a clutch tackle, though. That DB made a clutch. But the thing is, he could have broken the tackle. Look at the little circle around his thing. When it's red like that, you can break out of it. If you keep tapping the speed burst, if your guy has good enough break tackle, you can break out of that. But he made a heck of a play. 3rd and inches. He runs a little counter. Look at that. Oh, makes a play. I mean, it just looks much more fluid, much more in line. He's got Triangle wide open. He goes deep. Going to the back of the end zone. And look, everybody's tracking the ball. Let's see. So I guess he has to make some stops here. Run game. He gets the ball back. Oh, wow. I want to see the beginning of that play. He's got a pocket. The pocket, every time I see the pocket and I see how the quarterback has an actual pocket and he's sitting in the pocket and you can see that it's clearly set up for him. Every time I see that, it's just a refreshing thing to see, because you don't see it in Madden. You just don't see it in Madden. Corner out, but the DB comes back, actually played it pretty well for actually running a little bit away from it there. Comes back, makes a tackle. He's got circle open. So he's backing up off his back foot, throwing the ball. Computer got the computer got a little bit out of whack there. You could see, because that safety, he doesn't know where the ball is. So he doesn't break back over, but he does make the play late. So again, it's not 100%. It's not always going to be 100% perfect, but you want the logic to be there more often than not. And that's what you get with this game. You get the logic being there. That one's a pick. That was straight. Oh, that was crazy, because you can tell that the hit that he took affected the throw. Boom. He takes the hit. The ball sails, and that's really an interception. The ball should be going straight to that. The DB should be catching that. That's realistic. That's realistic. That's really realistic. And that was the end of the game. So I think that's going to do it here for this stream, guys. I really do appreciate you guys. Don't know how much the streams that we've been doing on Madden, you guys don't realize how much those streams have really affected the growth of my channel. Seeing a ton more views now in the algorithm. As long as I'm getting, the likes from you guys and the support from you guys, and this thing is going to continue to keep growing. I really do appreciate all the love you guys have been showing. Like I said, I'm going to look at getting NFL or All Pro Football 2K8 on my emulator and playing it with you guys, streaming it for you guys. That should be something you should look forward to. Hopefully, because it's only 11 p.m. here on the East Coast right now, I'm going to try and get that done possibly tonight. But definitely for tomorrow night, look for the notification in your notification table. Make sure you click that bell notification button so that you can get the notification when I'm going to be going live with that. But I think we're going to have some fun playing some all-pro football on the emulator and, just running through a season with one of the teams from the 1993 NFL roster that has been loaded up for the game. But I appreciate you guys once again so much for being on here. Look out for that video. Look out for the next stream coming up. But I will catch you all on the next one. Make sure that you smash that like and you smash that notification bell. So I will catch you all on the next stream. Peace out.